Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my YouTube channel. Like the name says below, FX Peace Smasher. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Come on, that's by the way. So, in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I was able to dominate nas 100 for the period of 1 month. How I was able to have a back-to-back win on nas 100. I've not actually taken any loss on. I think it was one time I took break even, but it has been back to back win on nas 100. And then on my Instagram story, I've also been sharing the trades with you guys, and I asked you guys if you'd be interested to see how I was able to analyze nas 100 and get those good entries and those back-to-back wins I was getting on nas 100. And a lot of you actually clicked into the poll I did, and yeah, today I'm going to show you guys how I was able to do that, and hopefully you can learn one or two things you can implement into your own trading, maybe new ones that are actually starting out on how to trade in the forex market. It will actually help you to understand how market structure works and a whole lot more. And if you are already into the journey and you know one or two things about trading, and you still want to get your knowledge of trading to another level, please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because in this YouTube channel I'll be dropping educational content that will help you improve on your trading journey. I hope that is well taken. Like I said, please don't forget to support your boy. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, turn on your bell notification so that whenever I get to drop new banging content, you will be the first to be notified. And yeah, share the video with anybody you think needs one or two educational content on how the forex market actually works. So without any waste of time, guys, let's get right into the.
Okay guys, welcome to my screen. So if you guys can remember, this was the last trade I entered from last week. Still pushing. My target is about close to 6,000 points, and just a few pips, a few points actually away to take profit, like 800 points. It's 800 points, sorry, away to take profit. Please, if there is any noise in the video interfering with what I'm saying, please bear with me. Some crazy neighbors out here making a lot of noise. So aside from that, let's get into the video, and then I'll show you guys how I was able to analyze my Nasdaq from a much higher time frame, how I was able to catch these beautiful pips. I don't know if you guys could remember when I took this trade, when I made about 8,000 points. I'll put the screenshot of the trade somewhere on the screen. I caught a beautiful trade here to this buy of 4,000 points, 3,000 points here, 4,000 points here. And then I am going for 5,000, close to 6,000 points. Take profits on this one. So without any further waste of time, let's get into it. So what I do basically is I start from a weekly time frame to analyze my chart. I'm going to clear everything and then walk you guys through step by step how I was able to analyze Nasdaq, and then how I was able to find this beautiful trade on nas 100. You can see that candle pushing on a weekly time frame. Very beautiful bearish candle. So aside from that, let's go in. So before we get into this video, I would like to explain to you guys, or kind of tell you the things I look out for before I analyze the market from this higher time frame. So I'm just gonna write them out, which if you apply all these things, it will also help you in your own trading. So number one is I look at the most recent trend of the market, or let's say the most recent price data on the market. Most recent price data on the market. Most recent price data. I'm going to explain these things to you, what I mean by looking at the most recent price data. Then I also look at the most recent trend on the market, most recent trend on the market. Then I look at, sorry, this should be number 2 here. Let me put that. This should be number 2. Then another thing I look for is I look at I look for trend line violation. I'm also going to explain what trend line violation is in this video. Trend line violation, and then we'll look at the rules I have when it comes to trading with trend line violation. Another thing I also look at is price action patterns, which is number 4. I look at price action patterns. Price action patterns. I don't know, maybe I don't want this video to be a very long video. So this price action pattern, I guess I'll do another video on its own to actually explain what a price action pattern is, and then how you guys can actually identify it in the forex market. But I think I'm going to give a little definition on it as we go. So the first thing I look at is most recent price data, like what the market is doing most recently. You understand? I don't need to bother myself. Let's say, like, for example, I don't need to bother myself while I want to analyze this market. I'm looking all the way down here. No, I just focus on what is happening most recently, because that's where the money is, and that's where the movement is happening. So I need to go with where the movement is happening in the market. Then I look at the most recent trend. Which trend is this market in most recently? And that is the trend I'm paying attention to. You understand? I don't need to pay attention to the trend that has happened 6 months ago or 3 months ago. I need to focus on that trend I know that could take place that particular week, or a trend that could happen in a particular month. You understand? 1 month caps it for me. Then I look for trend line violation. I'm also going to show you guys how I trade with this trend line violation and some rules I have for it. Then lastly, I look for price action patterns. And then I have time frames that I look for this price action pattern. So without waste of time, let's get into it. So like I said, I am starting from the weekly time frame. So on this weekly time frame, like I said, I'm looking at the most recent price data. And the most recent price data I can see is from this point, this whole point here, like this. I hope you guys get that. That's what I'm looking at. So what I do is that I spot the highest points the market has made. I look for the highest points the market has made, and then I look from where the market is currently, and then I look at the lowest point. So I like to get the market in a circle. So what I mean by highest point, I can see that this is like the highest point the market made from where the market is currently. This is the highest high here. And then I have the lowest point here, which is from where the market is to this point. This is the lowest point. Now I've got this market in a circle. You get it? I've got this market in a circle. So where I am paying attention now is just this bit of price data here. You understand? I'm not bothering or killing myself looking at the market from this point all the way 2020, 16th of March. No, I'm just focusing on what the market is doing inside this most recent price data here. I hope you guys got that. So let's continue. So the next thing I look for is that I say, okay, where I look also at the previous trend of the market inside this whole cycle. So previously, I cannot see that the market was moving in an uptrend. I don't know if you guys know how to actually identify the trend of the market in the forex market, but if you don't know, you can let me know in the comment section, and then I can do another video altogether on how to spot a trend in the forex market. So I can see previously here that the market is moving in an uptrend. So now I'm looking at trend line violation. Is there any trend line violation that has happened here to show me whether we are still moving in an opposite direction, or if you are in that same direction, we are looking in that uptrend movement? So if I take my trend line and run it from here, I can see, okay, now we are previously trending up, and then the market violated the trend at this point. This is where we got our trend line violation. Now look at what this trend line violation helps me to do. It helps me to actually know the next direction the market is going to now. Since we are previously going up, and now the market has broken out from that trend line. Are you getting it? The market has broken out from that trend line. That means we are now in the opposite direction. Now I have this rule that whenever a market breaks a trend line, it tends to go back to that point where the trend line started from. So this is where the trend line started from, and this is where it ended, where the market actually violated the trend line. I hope you guys got that. So I'm interested in this new recent trend now that the market has formed. So that's why number 2 say look at the most recent trend. You understand? After trend line violation is just something that is not a must that it must I must look at it the way I outlined it here. So trend line violation could come first, price recent trend could come second, anyhow. But at this point, I got my first trend line violation, and now I'm looking at the most recent trend of the market. So most recently, I can see that we are going down. You understand? Because from this point, you see that the market made a high here, made a low, made a high at this point, made a lower low, because this low is then lower than this previous low. And now this high is lower than this previous high. The market made a lower low because this low is then lower than this previous low here. So once in a trending market, once you got a three movements like this qualifies a downtrend for me, especially once I have 1, 2, 3 movements. This qualifies a downtrend in the market for me. So all I'm waiting for is a pullback. Then I look for a sale at this point to continue to the downside. I hope you guys got that. So this exactly what's happening with nas100 here. So I then saw that, okay, we are now recently forming a downtrend. Previously, we are coming from a uptrend, but now we are now in that downtrend. And one of my rules, I know that when the market breaks a trend line, it tends to go back to that point where the trend line started from. And this works 99.9% of the time in the forex market for me. And I also know that if you implement this, it can also help you in your trading. Now, another point I want to also talk about is this price action pattern, which is the last one. I look at it, I look for price action pattern on much lower time frame, like say the 4-hour time frame and the 1-hour time frame. And now I'm also going to show you guys how that came into play and how I was able to catch that 8,000 points using a price action pattern on the 1-hour time frame. We'll get into that as we step down our time frames. So now everything is looking more clear. I'm now sure with the direction I'm going with. I know now that I'm looking for sales on NASDAQ. You understand? I know that I'm looking for sales. Now, another thing I want to point out is this. You see these points that the market touched on the trend line, these points here. You also need to pay attention to these points because they are very key levels that the market will react from. Because you see how strong the market pushed from this point, the market came into it again, came into that point again, pushed very hard, came into that point again, pushed very hard. So on this, our recent trend now that we are looking at, anytime the market comes into these points, we are going to get a very strong reaction. So that's why by the time I was looking to buy NASDAQ, I was looking to buy NASDAQ from this point because I know that those points the market used on the trend line whilst going up, the market was actually approaching and coming into it. So on my lower time frame, which was in the 1-hour time frame, I was ready and waiting to take those buys on NASDAQ. But I wasn't actually going to buy all the way to the upside. You understand? I bought from this point here, and then I took the trade to 8,000 points. And I also show you guys on lower time frame how I was able to do that. So once I spotted that, I then look at the recent trend of the market. I see that this market is going down, and I see that we'll have a low here. Now, on this weekly time frame, you see that we have a whole lot of wicks here. We don't have like any clear structure or what. So all I do is I just outline these levels, those weak levels. I just outline because I know that here is my low and then this is a high here. All I then do is I go down to the daily time frame just to fine tune these structures, you understand, just to make the structures more clear for me. So what I do is I remove the line and then I look at the body of a candle there and a wick, the shortest body and the shortest wick. That's what I actually make use of. Then I can maybe drop a line at the middle just to make everything look more clean for me, you understand. Now I then know that, okay, remember when the market, we made this low, remember this is our weekly low and then this is our weekly high at this point. So I was looking at the market. When the market broke below this our low, remember in a downtrend, when the market breaks a low, it tends to come back to retest that low, use it as resistance at this point to continue down. So this point is where we'll be looking for that sell. And that's exactly what I expected NASDAQ to do at this point. After a break below, I expected the retest to continue down. But the market broke all the way above, came back down. You know, but I'll show you guys how I was able to catch this by here when we step down to our lower time frame. So on this daily time frame, I was looking at this market when it was approaching this support area, which is on the second touch of our trend line that we got from the weekly time frame. I was looking at it and then I was ready to take a buy from here. So on this daily time frame, I'm looking for the most. Also looking at the most recent trend of the market. You understand? So from this high to this low here, I was just from this high to this structure. I was looking at when I was ready to take that buy. I don't know if you guys got it because previously the market was not yet at this level when I wanted to take that buy. You understand? So I was looking from this high here, all the way to this support level where I was waiting for the market to come into. Let me highlight it. Remember, it's not a single line. Support and resistance levels are not singular, it's an area. So from this point here, I was looking at the market. Market, I guess, was somewhere here when I was looking at it. So all I was waiting for was for the market to pull all the way back into this resistance so that I can take a sell down. But the market did not quite get into it according to how I drew my structure. Then the market started rolling back down. And I know that, okay, coming into this support level, I could see a buying opportunity to go back into this resistance level here, which is our previous lower low. You understand? Because this low is lower than this previous low here that we got from the weekly time frame. So then another thing is I'll also look out for is trend line violation. So first of all, I just look at the trend line to see if there is any trend line supporting the trend of the market. And if a trend line violation occurs, I don't know that, okay, we are then going to the opposite direction. So after that, all I did was to step down to the 4-hour time frame just to see how things are playing out. So everything was just looking so nice. Then on this 4-hour time frame, I was looking at if there is any price action pattern that was actually playing out for me to take this, for me to be able to take this buy, from this structure, which is that second touch on our trend line. So there was nothing actually happening here. What I then did was to step down to the 1-hour time frame. So on this 1-hour time frame, I saw that something was happening. I saw that the market was putting in a descending channel. A descending channel is a price action pattern for a reversal from a downtrend into an uptrend. So I saw this descending channel. I know that, okay, this could be an opportunity because look, the market was coming into this support level with a descending channel. So since I knew that descending channel are reversal price action patterns, I know that this could be an opportunity to take the buys to the upside. Now, I have a rule that whenever I see a descending channel and I catch the trade inside the descending channel that aligns with the support level, I look to take the trade back to the 90% rule of that descending channel. And the 90% rule is more like where the channel started from. It's more like when the market breaks a trend line, we expect it to go back all the way to that point where the trend line started from. And now when we catch a trade that comes with a descending channel like this one, we tend to take that trade back to that point where the trend line, where the descending channel actually started from. So you can see that this is where the channel started from, coming down like this. This is where the trend line started, the channel, started from. So I was able to catch the trade inside the support level. Now, another thing I work with is psychological levels. I also look at psychological levels. Psychological levels are rounded numbers where most of these bank traders look at, you understand, where they either exit their trade or enter trades. These are psychological, more rounded numbers. We have like 15,000, we have 13,000, we have 12,000, we have 10,000. So at this point, I was looking at this 13,000 psychological level. If you guys can see it here, let me properly align it. I was looking at this 13,000 psychological level. Come on. Network is glitching, it's very bad. So if you look at this price, you see I have 1300.34, but I'm just trying to bring the parameters. Okay, so this is it. So I aligned it properly to 13,000. So I knew that, okay, this would be a very key psychological level where this market will come in. Then we'll look to take that buy. Now, one good thing about this trade is that I had a lot of confidence showing me that this market could buy. We are coming into our support level, our weekly support level. You understand? And now we'll have the descending channel also supporting this movement. And then the third confidence I had was this psychological level also aligning at this point. So everything was just aligning perfectly for me. So after I saw this bullish candle sign here, now I have different ways of entering my trade when it comes to candlestick patterns. I think that's another thing I'll do in another video, explaining to you different candlestick patterns that I use. But I saw my entry at this point, then I took the buy. Remember, I told you whenever I see a descending channel, I take the trade back to the 90% rule of that descending channel. If it's an ascending channel, I also look to take the trade sell back to the 90% rule where the ascending channel actually started from. So this was how I was able to catch this beautiful trade of 8,500 and something points. I'll put the screenshot of the trade somewhere on the screen. So that's that for this. And then after that, remember from the weekly time frame, NASDAQ was actually in a downtrend. So after I exited this trade, I was looking to take sales from this point because this point, remember, was the low we got from our weekly time frame. I don't know if you guys actually remember. We got this low from our weekly time frame. So I was looking to take that sell still from this point to go all the way to the downside. But when the market came into this level, I didn't actually like how it was reacting at this level. So all I did was to say that, okay, if this market breaks below, then comes back to the test, I'll then look to take the sell to the downside. At that point, forming that 1, 2, 3 move, I told you guys that this qualifies a downtrending movement for me. So at this point, I could look to take a sell here or wait for a pullback at this point, then take that sell to the downside. So that was what I was waiting for on NASDAQ, but it didn't actually happen. Rather, NASDAQ broke out to the upside. So I knew that, okay, if this could be, because remember, we still have our trend line coming in here. So I was suspecting that, okay, this could be a touch on this trend line, a break back below, retest, and a continuation down. So I said, okay, let me see if NASDAQ could respect this trend line, break back below, retest, and then I can look to take that sell from this point to the downside. But that didn't actually happen. NASDAQ violated the resistance level and broke out on the trend line. Now, I actually love what happened when NASDAQ broke this trend line. Remember what I told you guys, that whenever a market breaks a trend line, it tends to go back to that point where the trend line started from. And now this was a downtrending trend line, which we had a first touch here, a second touch, and then I was anticipating a third touch here to continue taking that sell to the downside because the direction I got from the weekly time frame was sales. But immediately NASDAQ broke the trend line. I knew that this could be going to the upside all the way into this point where the trend line started from. And this also was our weekly time frame resistance. So when I saw this, all I did was I went back to the daily time frame. So remember, I told you guys that I also like looking at the recent trend of the market on the daily time frame. So I saw that the recent trend from where this trend line started from here, from this high to this low, we are trending down all the way to this point. So I saw that the market made a high, made a low here, made a high, made a low here, made a lower high, made a lower low, made a lower high here, before making a same low that couldn't break this lower low. So I knew that when the market broke out from this trend line, we have actually violated this high here. We actually violated this daily high here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So all I did was also come back to this daily time frame, identify this high, and then I went back straight to my 1 hour time frame, and then waited for the market to come back and retest that high, and then I looked for the buy to the upside. And that's how I got my second entry. Then I got my second entry based on the candlestick pattern I use. I'll do a different video altogether about the candlestick patterns I use to take my trade. So I think I took that entry somewhere around inside this level, and then I targeted this previous high here, this daily high. And that's how I made that 4,000 something points. So let me still identify this high, because I like marking out my structures, you understand, so that I know how the market reacts to them when it gets to those levels. So this was how everything was actually looking. Yeah, so I knew that I took this trade from here, then I exited at this structure here. I think I exited at 3,000 points there about 3,000 or 4,000 points. So this is how it was actually looking when I took the trade. Then I got another entry. This was an impulse entry. When I saw this market impulsively coming into the structure, I suspected that it could continue pushing up. But I closed that much more earlier at 1,000 points, I think 1,400 points. So, but one thing I did, I failed to do was to wait for the market to come back to repair so that I can take that buy all the way into that high where the trend line started from. You see, as the market broke out from the trend line, it actually fulfilled that movement. And that's exactly what I'm waiting for NASDAQ to do on the weekly time frame. Let me go to weekly time frame. Let me open this. That's exactly what I'm waiting for NASDAQ to do. Because here we violated our trend line. We violated this trend line here. So I'm waiting for NASDAQ to trade all the way into this point. Like with what I've seen happen in the market, NASDAQ has to come into this point. Yeah. But if it doesn't come and then maybe along the way it starts changing trend again, we'll go with the trend of the market. But with what I'm looking at for on NASDAQ, I'm expecting NASDAQ to come back to fall all the way into this point. This could take like 2 or 3 months to happen, but that's like my long-term projection on NASDAQ. So going back to the 1 hour time frame. So that's how I got this beautiful buy here. Now, talking about this, the 2 sales that I got at this resistance level. So after this week that I took these 2 beautiful trades, all I did again was to go back to what I do is that every week I go back to my weekly time frame to see how things are played out, you understand? So I then saw that, remember what I told you guys, that these points that where the market touch on this trend line are key important points in the forex market, regardless of whether currency pair or indices or metals. Those points that the market touch on the trend line, they are key important points that the market will use to either use it as support or resistance on the lower time frames. So all I did was to identify that NASDAQ was above this low here. So after identifying that, I knew that, okay, this could mean something. It's either the market pulls back at this point, they use it as support to continue up. But I knew that in a downtrending market, let me show you guys one thing. In a downtrending market, when the market makes a low, makes a high here, makes a low, a high, and a low here, this is the high that the market should not break in a downtrend. You see this high here, the market shouldn't violate this high, because if the market violates this high, it could then possibly reverse from that point into an uptrend. But this is the most important high we are looking at in that downtrend. The market could violate this low here. The market could violate this low here, you understand? But this high, it shouldn't violate, because if it violates it, it means a total reverse comes to the upside. So that's exactly what happened with NASDAQ here. We saw that NASDAQ made a low, made a high, made a low, made a high, made a low. So instead of representing this low as resistance to continue down, NASDAQ traded all the way back into that high that it shouldn't break, just like the example I showed you guys here now. You see, so sorry. So if you look at this, you see that this is exactly what I drew here is exactly what is happening with NASDAQ. Right? So this is that high that NASDAQ should not break. And that's why the market, when the market traded into it, we saw a total reversal to the downside. So I understood this concept. I knew that, okay, regardless that the market is above this low here, but it's at that high that the market should not break, at that resistance high that the market should not break, I'm still possibly bearish on NASDAQ. So all I did was, after identifying it, I just had to put my line there. I went to the daily time frame. Remember, I use daily time frame to just fine-tune my structures and everything. So I saw that I saw how everything was looking at here, but I actually adjusted the line all the way to this point where they will have this push. Why I did that is because I saw that when NASDAQ came into this point here, it just played around. But this was where we got our exact push to the upside. And that point pushed NASDAQ about, from that point to this point, about 11,000 points, you understand? So I was much more interested from that point, the market pushed heavily. So tracing it all the way to what is happening most recently, see that it is also aligning with our daily resistance level. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's aligning with our daily resistance level here. This our weekly low, which is at the point of the touch on the trend line, is aligning perfectly with our daily resistance high here. I hope you guys understand that. So, and I was also looking at that high that the market should not break on NASDAQ. So me personally, I don't like making use of big zones. If I'm actually trying to draw the zone out to look something like this, then on lower time frame it will be so very big. I don't like dealing with big structures. So all I did was to, let me remove it. All I did was to adjust this line to the body of this high on the daily time frame, to this body. Then I went to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, I then made a structure like this. I made a structure, I think like this. Like this. Yes, exactly like this. Then like this. That's how I made the structure. Now, I think I was looking at 1520 psychological level. I had it, no, 1540. 15240. I was looking at 15240 psychological level. 15240. Yeah, 15240. That's the psychological level I was looking at. So after I identified this, now one thing I knew is that I knew that at this level here was the body level of the resistance level I was looking to sell from the daily time frame, because I got it from the daily time frame. Remember, I got this from the daily time frame. This is the body level, and then this was the week level that aligned with that psychological level I was looking at, 15240. So all I did was to go to daily time, the 1-hour time frame. Sorry, I went to the 1-hour time frame. Let me adjust this back there. So I went to the 1-hour time frame. I was looking at the market. Then remember, there was a time I posted this on my IG story. I told you guys that if I see any bearish sign at this point, because I missed my entry from the stop part, because I was supposed to get an entry at this point. When I saw this bearish engulfing that engulfed this total, this shooting star candlestick here, when this bearish engulfing totally engulfed it, I was looking to take a sell from this one, but I actually missed my entry. And I went to my IG story and I told you guys that if I see any bearish movement, I was going to take that sell to the downside. So what I observed that was happening on the 1-hour time frame from this resistance level was that the market was actually putting in a lower low and then a lower high, which is a downtrending movement. So the market made a high, I made a low, made a high, then made a lower low here, and then it was coming in to make a lower high here, because this high here is lower than this previous high. So I was interested to look for a selling opportunity inside this this particular range here, because already remember this line here is the body level of our daily resistance. You understand? So I actually knew that, okay, since the market is forming these lower lows and lower highs inside this our daily resistance, it could also be an opportunity to take a sell. So I was looking at the market forming these structures here. Now, another thing I also looked at was price action pattern. I also saw that the market formed a mini double top here. Let me show you guys. We had a first top, then the market came and gave us a second top. So after this hanging man candlestick pattern, after this shooting star followed by a hanging man, I went in and locked my sell position there. And then my stop loss was above this weak level here, I suppose. Then I was targeting this high here. I was targeting this high here, which gave me about 3,000 points, 3,294 points. So this was actually how I was able to get this entry. I missed my first opportunity to take a trade. One thing you should always understand is this: once you miss your first opportunity to take a trade, don't just give up on that trade. Look at how the market is reacting at that structure you are looking to take a sell from. And then the market will always give you opportunities to trade. So that's what I did. I did not just give up on Nasdaq. I waited for the market to play out, giving me that 1, 2, 3 move. So I was waiting for a pullback, you understand, to take that sell. And I actually got the opportunity and I took the sell. So I was always mentioning of 15,000 level, if you guys would remember. Remember, 15,000 level was a very strong psychological level I was looking to trade from. 15,000, let me put that in. So I was looking at this 15,000. The reason why I did that is because of our trend line. So if you see, we had a first touch, a second touch, and I told you guys that those points that the market touch on the trend line, whether it's coming from a much higher time frame or a lower time frame like this 1 hour time frame, the market tends to respect those points. So I saw that, okay, that particular high there was aligning with this 15,000 level. So at some point, after taking this sell, after taking this sell all the way to this point, I expected the market to pull back into this 15,000 level so that we could take that sell all the way to the downside into this 14,600 level. That's how I was waiting for the market to play out. But the market didn't actually do that. The market violated that 15,000 level and came back into our daily resistance level again. So I also told you guys that, okay, the market did not respect our 15,000 level, but since it's back into our resistance level, so I'm still bearish on Nasdaq, except when Nasdaq breaks to the upside, breaking that our daily high, which also aligns with our weekly high too. That's the only time I'll be interested to take buys on Nasdaq. But aside from that, as I'm still bearish on Nasdaq, as I was going to look at how price reacts at this resistance level. If I see any bearish sign, that I was going to take the trade. So when Nasdaq came into this level, all I did was I went down to 15 minutes actually to see how market was reacting. That was when I saw a price action pattern known as a rising wedge. Rising wedge is a price action pattern for a reversal of a market from an uptrend into a downtrend. That's what a rising wedge is. So I saw this rising wedge. Then what I did was to wait for the market to break out from this rising wedge, then give me any reaction at all from this body level of our resistance daily level, the body level of the resistance level. Remember, we picked this line from the body level of our daily resistance level. And then this part was that weak level where we also got our 15 to 40 psychological level. So after that, after the breakouts, I went back to 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame was actually the level I used to place the trade. So when I saw these two exhaustion candlestick pattern here, these two hanging man, or you could call it spinning top, that was when I actually locked in a sell. After this candle closed and this one was actually pushing up, I guess, no, I locked in my sell somewhere here. I'll put the screenshot on the screen for you guys to see. I locked in my sell somewhere here, and then I targeted back this low, which gave me 4,121 points. So this was actually how I was able to catch these two trades. Remember how the analysis started from the weekly time frame. I'm also going to give you guys a quick run through after I'm done with the video on how everything started. So this is how I was able to catch these beautiful trades from this 8,000 points to 3,000 points. I closed this one much earlier at 1,000 points, 3,000 points, and 4,000 points. Now, that then brings us into the recent trade that I took that is pushing so fine. My target on this trade is 5,000, but I think it should have covered by now, 5,000 points. So how I was able to make out this trade. Now, remember this particular level. If we go back to the weekly time frame, I told you guys those points where the market touched on the trend line is a very strong level where the market could use on the lower time frames to either react as a support or resistance. You see that line from our weekly level, bouncing from that trend line that we got. You see the first touch, second touch, third touch, and this whole area. Remember, whatever support and resistance, whenever you're looking at this at the forex market, it's not a single line, it's an area. I hope you get that. So I was looking at this whole area, although where I actually got the line was from the daily time frame, and I gave you guys the reason why I did that because of this strong push. And now this line also aligns with our daily resistance level. I hope you guys can see that. So let's go back to the our 1 hour time frame. So on this 1 hour time frame, I expected Nasdaq to use this level. Since it's a very strong level, I expected Nasdaq to use the level to at least buy to 15,000. Then to this 15, from this 15,000 level, I can then look for a sell all the way to the downside. But Nasdaq did actually do that. It's cleared the level, like with a clean bearish momentum. It cleared the level, came back to retest it. On this retest, I wasn't actually comfortable selling Nasdaq. I wanted to see a little bit of price action around this level. So when I saw these multiple rejections, I think this took 2 days to happen. The first retest happened on the 6th of April. If you look down here, it happened on the 6th of April. Then the second rejection happened on the 7th of April. So it took 2 days. So on the 8th of April was when I actually made my entry on Nasdaq. And the reason why I took the sell was because our daily level that also aligns with our weekly level. Remember this line, we got it from the weekly time frame. Then the zone, we got it from the daily time frame, which is the daily high. So both of them were aligning together. That was the two confluence I had on this trade. Then I was also looking at a psychological level. I believe 14,600 was the psychological level I was looking at. 14,600 was the psychological level I was looking at, exactly 14,600. So from this 14,600, after I saw this bearish engulfing form, I took my first position. Then when I saw the markets pushing all the way into 14,600 and tapped on me and started rejecting, I locked in another sell. So, but my original entry came after this bearish engulfing. Immediately at the close, I took my third sell there, and then my stop loss was somewhere up there. And then I was targeting 5,000 points. Whoa, it has actually smashed my target. My target has been met on this trade. So why I was targeting 5,000 points? Because naturally, like originally, I would have been targeting this support level, but I didn't actually do that. The reason why I was targeting this 5,000 points was because I did this. You see this low that the market left here. Whenever a market breaks a low, it tends to move like a proportional movement of, if you let me measure this out. If I measure this from, let me bring the right tool for this. If I measure this point all the way into this resistance level, I was looking for Nasdaq to make a corresponding movement from this low into this high. Or rather, I can do it this way. Since I'm looking for a sell, I can do it this way, from this resistance level to this low here that the market made. So if I should replicate this into the future, I was looking at let me bring this somewhere up. Okay, I'm still not yet to take profit, but we are coming there. So let me bring this down. So I was okay. It is actually my target on Nasdaq. We're just few points away to target. So this is how I got my target. Understand? So I just replicated the movement of this particular low here from the resistance level back into this low. I just projected it in the picture. And then because I know that whenever a market breaks a particular low from a high, it tends to complete that same movement. Let me just give you a practical example. Let's say market did a movement like this, then come back all the way up and then breaks this low. In future, the market tends to complete the movement from this point all the way to this point. If you take this and replicate it into the future from where the low started from, the market tends to complete that movement. So I used that idea to make out my take profit on this trade. I hope you guys got that. So that's basically how I actually planned out my target on this trade. And as we can see so far, ladies and gentlemen, we are just few pips away, few points away to take profits. I'm still holding the trade. I think I should be closing any moment from now on this trade. I'll put a screenshot of the trade that I actually placed it on my MT4. I actually shared it too on my Instagram story. If you go to my Instagram page, I go to my highlights, you see that I actually took this trade. But I'm still going to put a screenshot of the trade somewhere on this video. So guys, this is actually how I was able to catch this beautiful movement. This is how I was able to dominate NASDAQ for the past, this started on the 15th of March and currently we are at 11th of April. So let's say 2 weeks now. This is how I've been dominating NASDAQ. Simple top-down analysis. All you need to do is go to your weekly time frame. When you are at the weekly time frame, let me actually remove or drawing. When you are at the weekly time frame, pay attention to what is happening most recently. The most recent price data, that's all you need. You don't need the whole movement. You just need to pay attention to what the market is doing most recently. So you see how I went from, I think if I should, let me just put a line. Okay, let me do this. Let me bring the analysis back. Okay, please bear with me. So first of all, you see how I was able to look at the most recent price data. That is what is happening most recently, and then use it to walk myself all the way down to the daily time frame, 4-hour time frame, and 1-hour time frame. Sometimes I use the 15 minutes time frame to just look at how market is reacting from any structure I'm looking to trade from, and then I actually make my entry on the 1-hour time frame. But sometimes it's just between 1 hour and 15 minutes time frame. That's the time frame I get my entries from. So whenever you're analyzing any market at all, this strategy or this approach works on any market at all. Look at what the market is doing most recently. Look at the most recent trend. The most recent trend is where the money is at. You understand? You don't need to start bothering yourself to see, okay, let me project 1 million pips in picture. No. If you can project 100 pips, 1,000 points, you know, that can happen in a day, in 4 days, in 1 week, in a month. Just work with that. You don't need those long projection of, you know, a lot of traders want to project 2,000 points that happen in 2 months, and then they anticipate to catch. No, go with the market as it is moving. Look at what is happening most recently on the market. So coming into this week, my take on NASDAQ is actually, I'm still pretty bearish on NASDAQ. So what I'm expecting for NASDAQ is to see if the market will actually break this our weekly low. So if it eventually breaks this our weekly low, we are going all the way down to this next structure, which is, I think that's where I got my bias from this level. And then my overall anticipation or projection on NASDAQ is at this psychological level, 12,200 level, around that area. But for now, I'm not bothered because this could take months to happen. I'm just interested in this move. I know that could happen in a week or maybe in a month's time. Then I capitalize on that movement to trade from it. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If at some point I was a little bit rusty, or this is actually my first YouTube video I'm doing, you can maybe rewind the video, go back, or maybe drop your thoughts in the comment section. Then I'll do well to look into that. But aside from that, please do well to subscribe, like the video, share it, turn on the bell notification so that anytime I drop a video, you'll be notified and then actually learn from it. So aside that, see you guys in the next one.